we're already in session. So what we're going to do is, number 5 minutes of the previous meeting, we'll do that first.
Yeah.
You got that one? Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Faulkner, that the minutes of the August 27, 2013 council meeting be approved as amended. Any questions? Okay.
It's on, I guess the last page, other business. It should be the Minto Rural Health Center, not Minto Mapleton Family Health Team Building.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Okay.
Correct that.
Can we correct that
So if you wanted to write as amended on the
as amended?
motion.
I think we already have it as amended, approved as amended, but we'll say as amended for,
Oh, that's good.
yep, okay. All in favor? Carried.
Anticipated mistake.
Yeah, anticipated. I wonder if I could have somebody make a motion to move the delegations up ahead of the public meetings.
I would so move.
Councillor Elliott, Councillor Emily, all in favor? Okay. Okay, well, it's great tonight to have a couple of delegations. We'll start off with the Mayor's Golf Tournament check presentation. It's always nice to give out money to people. So
Should do that motion first.
Oh, hang on, I got a motion. Oh, yeah, right. Moved by Councillor Hemley, second by Councillor Elliott. The Town of Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Good, now we can go. Okay, so I wonder if I can get the groups to come up. Do you want to do them one at a time or all together? Oh, why don't we do them all together? Okay. Deputy Mayor first, can you put down? And we have the Harrison Figure Skating. Melanie Martin, Minto Minor Ball. Ron Elliott's going to help with that. And
Ron Elliott.
Bartlett Ladies Softball. Mary Isles.
Very nice. Face the camera.
Make sure you get the right checks.
That one's all three go together.
All these go together. First of all, I'd just like to thank you for all your participation and helping with it. It's always fun. I don't know how people realize this is our third one. We have different groups every year, so we get to see new people every year. Your enthusiasm when we had our meetings was amazing. And we really had a lot of fun with it. And I think during the day, you guys had me out there and volunteers. And so it's a great pleasure that we're able to. We thought we'd try to give you $3,000, but you were so successful. We got $3,200 each for you.
That's awesome.
Actually, the tournament made the most it's ever made so far. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, Ron, you're taking that home, right?
Hey, you know what? Lane's waiting at home for this, so.
Would you guys want to say anything, or anybody want to say anything? Or?
No, I had an awesome day. It was so much fun. I think next year I'm gonna play in the tournament myself. Yeah. Thank you very much.
We had a really good day, and we pre-spent this. We bought uniforms for the T-ballers. We can dye our straights, nice little uniform. We got a nice little sweater now, and we bought the midget girls some uniforms, which we're due. And thank you, and thanks council and the town of Minto, and thank you, girls, for hard work.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, wicked girl, yeah, baby.
I thought Lane had almost come back.
I tried so hard never to say that.
I'm sorry. I just had to say that. One more.
Well, I thought you were talking about his looks.
Oh, yeah. No.
This is
Excellent. And now, we have our next delegation, which John Mock and Lisa Leslie on the Harrison Heritage Days Oh, I hear you. Harrison Heritage Days, which is really a success. And do we have a,
No, they're just pictures.
just pictures?
They can just roll.
Would you guys just want to come up to the front there and we'll... Thanks, guys.
Okay. Do we need this on? Or is it on?
Yep, it's on. There you go.
Okay, we're here basically to tell the council how we proceeded with our seed money and all, and how we made out with the whole day of the Heritage Days, or the whole weekend. The seed money, we did put it to good use for advertising, which was much appreciated. The day basically generated, and it may not sound like a lot, but 240 people signed the guest book for the Historical Society, or up there. Mark had 64 entries in the essay contest. Kinsman fed over 500 people. The Legion fed over 250 for their breakfast. I talked to all the restaurants. They all had exceptional days. Retailers, some were very good, a couple not so much. But they were very happy with the day in general. So Lisa had over 204 vehicles registered. And as a neat spin-off, the Pentecostal Church that day had their event.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely thrilled with people going from ours to the Fall Fair in Palmerston. So they're quite happy with how their day went. So as far as that goes, that's pretty neat stuff. As far as the financials go, Lisa?
The Kinsman Barbecue raised $4,000, and their proceeds were going to the Historical Society, so they'll benefit from that. The Legion raised $1,400 for their own use. The Touch a Truck event was $5,000, and that's to Minto Fire Department. So I think there was an allocation of a training or something.
They're doing
Confined space training.
Yeah.
confined
is where
space
they wanted
training,
their
which they
money to
really
go
need.
to.
Yeah, excellent.
The bar proceeds from the Friday night and Saturday night were just over $1,000, so the 81s hockey team and the Kinsman Club will share on that. Hairston Home Hardware and Leslie Motors donated some t-shirts, and the profits of those t-shirts were about $600, and that also is going to the Historical Society. So in total, in 2 days worth, there was just over $12,000 that was raised back to the community. So.
Super.
So, yeah, and that doesn't count like the restaurants,
No.
any of their profits that they made on their own, so
Yeah,
it was
the
pretty
pictures are
exceptional.
really good, eh? Like, you can see the crowds.
Yeah, it was pretty, Main Street was pretty packed. I was wishing that we had got some pictures from up the street earlier in the day. I didn't get them done till about 2:30. So we're all busy, so unfortunately we were so busy that I didn't get to take pictures at the barbecue or a couple other locations. So thanks to Harrison Motors for getting theirs, and for Leslie's and myself for getting the rest, so we at least have something to go with. So we've already had the one meeting after. We're having another meeting on the 2nd of October. So to see what's in store for 2014. We are researching a June date. Harrison Motors had put down that they were moving their Touch a Truck event to May 31st, but they're second guessing themselves on that, and they're looking at pairing up with Heritage Days again. So Leslie's have talked of doing another car show again, and the K40 Historical Society, the Theater Guild, Legion, and Library are all on board. The library is excited because that's their anniversary of the new
Great.
wing. The Theater Guild, should mention them because they did guided tours the whole day with really not a whole lot of recognition for doing it, and so much thanks to them for doing the guided tours. So all in all, it was a good weekend, and hopefully we can come together and have one again next year. So
Sounds good. Well done. Any questions or comments for?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. Every organization needs a leader, and we've been going to these meetings since, I think, early in February. I was part of this committee, and John Mock, he was he was instrumental in making this all happen. I mean, he was the guy that was there every meeting, making sure the minutes and everything were there, and I'll tell you, John, you did a great job, and congratulations to both you guys. Thank you.
No. It's easy to do when everyone's running their own
Right.
event. So,
Ron?
One of the things that perhaps you don't realize either, there were a ton of social events. I can think of 3 school class reunions that planned their reunion around that date. And it just, the spin-offs that we haven't even heard of were just awesome. And congratulations for a great weekend.
And just Lisa, you'd mentioned about the money you guys raised, but that's not including, like for economic development, it was a
Oh,
great event.
big event.
For the stores in
Yep.
the town, so,
Yeah.
like 12,000, it would have been more than that, like on the other end of it.
10 times more.
yeah, most of the stores, I walked and talked to them all after the fact, and like I say, a couple of them didn't have good days. One understood that we needed the event was great for the community, and that was secondary to what they did in total dollar sales that day, so, which was a surprise to hear from the person, and was nice to hear from the person, so, you know, it's good. I like to thank Lisa too, because, you know, she helped me immensely with a lot of aspects of the whole thing, so I can't take all the credit.
No.
Sorry, Lisa.
I'd just like to add that I heard numerous comments, and they all ended with, "I hope you do it again." So the support's out there, and we'd certainly like to see it again, so.
What do you two think of that?
Problem with doing something really well, you gotta do it again, that's the
Well,
thing.
the problem is to come up with a date that doesn't
Yeah,
conflict
Conflict.
with anything, so.
yeah, well, work on that.
Yep, we are.
Even with the conflict, if I may, Mr. Mayor, Palmerston dinners were all sold out, from what I heard. I'm not sure about the breakfast, but for sure the Saturday night and Sunday night were sold out and Sunday night was the first time we've sold out. And the Anglican Church put that on, and we sold out. So I had mentioned it in council that first thing I thought was a bad thing, but I said, that's just a new niche for somebody to travel around to what they wanted to do, so it just gives us one more thing that they could travel with. So it did work out somewhat, you know, to what they wanted.
And we have discussed that too, like maybe it's better to commit to one free weekend and do everything, right? Like, I mean, some of these events certainly weren't day-long events, so you could bounce between.
Sure
So-
did.
Well,
So that's
I made
one of the challenges we're
Palmerston
having
3
some
times.
difficulty, but.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what we're trying to build as well, and, you know, think of the town of Minto, not Harrison, Palmerston, but think of town of Minto. If you have an event in the town of Minto, we're so close, between Clifford, Harrison, Palmerston, it's not hard. I mean, if you were in the city, you would go over here, and it'd probably take you half an hour to get over to something that was maybe 5 blocks away. So here, you're in and out, and the fact that Pentecostal Church, I drove that road many times that weekend, I can tell you, back and forth between Harrison and Palmerston. And
And you never put
it
it
was
for mileage, just so you tapped
no,
it.
I didn't put it for mileage. Because I never got out of the town. It's such a big town. But, no, it really works out. And the church was really busy. I didn't have a chance to stop in there, but anyways. But, yeah, I think you did a great job, and we'll work towards some, hopefully in the future. And I know Mandy and Belinda might be back by then, or whatever, we don't know. But certainly from the town standpoint, we'll support whatever you come up with.
Yep.
Okay? Thanks very much.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Good job.
I think that was more than 10 minutes.
I know, it's me talking, eh? Is that mine? Any additional items? Ron? Rick?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Have you? Really?
Sorry.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you,
It's nice you started this end, though, so we do have some on this
I have
end.
well, I always start at that
I have
end.
nothing till I think of something.
Okay,
Our workforce planning board.
I have one. Okay, and as I say, if you think of something, just don't worry about it. And Bill has one,
Oh, come on, Bill.
okay. All right. Now we're gonna go to public meetings. Okay. We're gonna start our first public meeting. public meeting is to consider an amendment to the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for the property located in Part Lot 33, Concession 16, with the municipal address of 5563 Wellington Road to former Township of Minto, Town of Minto. I'll act as the chair of the public meeting. I will call the meeting to order to request any members of the public present to please sign the attendance book. Is everybody that is for the public meeting signed it? If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there's reasonable grounds to do so. I'll now turn it over to CAO Clerk White to advise the purpose and effect of the public meeting when the notice was sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is described as Part Lot 33, Concession 16, with a municipal address of 5563 Wellington Road 2. The property is 64.5 hectares, 159 acres in size. The proposed amendment is to rezone the area to be amended to permit 3 accessory structures whose combined floor area would exceed the permitted 120.7 square meter, 1,300 square foot lot coverage requirement outlined in the bylaw for a reduced agricultural lot. Consideration may also be given to the height of the accessory structures on the property. This rezoning is a condition of consent application B 82/12. Notices were mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject lands and applicable agencies and posted on the subject property August 27, 2013. Comments were received from the Town of Minto Fire Chief and Road Foreman with no concerns. From the Chief Building Official Terry Kuipers, noting the relief was required due to the maximum accessory structure square footage size permitted on the severed lot. He also noted that the height for the accessory structure is not required, as lots subject to reduced lot regulations do not have a minimum building height. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority provided comments as follows. Saugeen Conservation Authority has reviewed the proposed zoning bylaw amendment in accordance with their mandate and policies. The memorandum of agreement between the authority and the County of Wellington. Authority staff provided comments September 14th regarding the severance and August 19th regarding the associated minor variance. Please refer to those letters for more details. The SVCA understands no new buildings or structures are proposed. All of the plan review functions listed in the agreement have been assessed with respect to the proposal. The authority is of the opinion that the proposed zoning amendment appears to conform to the relevant policies of the Wellington County Official Plan and provincial policies. Wendy Arthur of 5586 Wellington Road 2 wrote a letter as follows, which is in your package. As a follow-up to our phone conversation this afternoon, I'd like to reiterate that I do not have a problem with the above amendment for rezoning, provided that the owner does not plan to operate a business there other than what would be for normal agricultural applications. County of Wellington Senior Planner Linda Redmond's report is included, and Mark Van Patter from the County Planning Department is here today to deliver that report. Mark?
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. I'll try to do a good job in Linda's report.
Right.
Not quite as cute, but you'll do.
Well, yeah. Essentially what's happened is, as we all know, there's this severance that occurred here, and there's 4.4 acres that were severed off of the larger farm parcel. And because of that, the accessory buildings, which Mr. Dowling wants to keep with the 4.4 acres, are quite a bit over the what's allowed in the bylaw, which is 1,300 square feet, I believe. And if you combine the 3 buildings, I think it adds up to 6,565 feet, which is quite a bit over. And so that's really what this zoning is about. And if you read through Linda's comments, she does raise the issue, or maybe it's more of an opportunity for Mr. Dowling, that she notes that it's secondary agricultural land, so that if Mr. Dowling did want to have storage for a commercial or an industrial business, there's some potential to do that in a secondary agricultural designation, whereas much of the township, which is prime agriculture, you just can't do that. So Linda just raises that, I think, as more of a opportunity for Mr. Dowling to consider. However, I talked with Mr. Dowling's agent, Jeff Buseman, who's here tonight, and I think he wants to speak a bit
Right.
to him. And Jeff says that the intent is really just for personal, equipment, and I think he's got a car or two, plus, lawnmowers and things like that, tools, et cetera. So, but I'll let them speak towards that. So we haven't prepared a zoning bylaw because we weren't quite sure which way
Right.
this was gonna go. And maybe we'll wait until we hear from Mr. Buseman, but I don't think we've got a great concern. I did look, Jeff showed me pictures he had taken inside of the barn at the start of the meeting tonight. Which were helpful because you can see both the barn and the implement shed or drive shed are fairly full with stuff right now, which is just, toys and cars and stuff that people have, so. I think maybe I'll leave it at that, and we'll see how things
Sure.
evolve and answer any questions, if necessary.
Do you have questions now, or do you want to wait till you hear from Jeff?
I'd rather wait, if I may.
Mark, you're gonna stay right there, or you want to bring Jeff? I think that's my next thing, right? So, Jeff, you're speaking on behalf of our.
Rob Dowling.
Rob's here,
Dowling
yeah,
is
yeah.
the Canada
Yep.
sweatshirt there.
Okay. Good.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship and councillors. As mentioned, this was part of a severance. The approved severance was this parcel here that I've just highlighted in yellow.
Yep.
And the accessory buildings are there's a drive shed, there's a barn, and there's a portable building. Probably, a picture's worth 1,000 words. These first two pictures here, this one is one of the barn, and I had that one like seconds ago. Here's the This picture gives a good picture of that barn, and that barn is, it's got the old stone foundation. It's in great shape, and they've put nice steel siding on the outside of it, and as a result, it's a great building, and be a shame to take it down. The building is, the barn is 22 meters by 21 meters, roughly 70 foot by 70 foot type of building. There is a basement. You can see in the one picture, there's a slope on the ground, there's a basement, and in the basement is the original stone foundation and where animals used to be. On the main floor is more equipment storage. So he's got a tractor in there, a lawnmower, that kind of thing. I have a few pictures. I don't know if it's appropriate to show it. The only thing is I took them on my way here. I don't know if it's appropriate to show you on a cell phone. This is just a snapshot of kind of what it's like inside this barn. Right?
Yep.
He's got equipment, he's got a golf
Yep.
cart there, he's got tools, that kind of thing. I'll see if I got one more good picture. This one's a pretty good one too. You can see his tractor and so on.
Right.
So that's the barn, and I mean, there's some empty space in the thing too, especially in the basement. It's not much in the basement. The second building this is one picture of the second building. It's a shop. And that shop, this is probably the best picture of the shop. He's got an old car and he's got tools to help with his repairs of his equipment. That's pretty, that's a really good shot as to
Can I see that again? Sorry, I didn't have it.
You like the car there.
Yeah, that's all right. Thanks.
So both buildings are in great shape, and both are used for his equipment. There's no intention for commercial or industrial type use at all. There's no intention of that for Mr. Dowling at all.
Mr. Booz, before you leave
Yes.
on our drawing there,
Yes.
that's the barn?
Yes.
And this is the shed you just showed us, this one?
Yeah, there's an aerial photo of it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so
Page
just
three's
to
an
give you,
aerial. Hard to see it.
yeah, So that's right, the barn is the one closer to the bottom on the picture of the drawing, and the trap shed is the one closer to the house.
Right.
I call it trap shed, it should be called a shop.
How many feet is this one? I
Pardon
got-
me?
How many square feet is that one?
That one is,
they tore it down, didn't they?
question,
Oh, maybe they did.
it's a 30 foot by 40 foot building.
Okay, yeah. I'm not a meter man.
I'm a meter guy, I guess, 9 by 12 roughly
Okay.
meters.
Yeah.
Okay. Both buildings are not used for animals, and obviously there was no intention to ever do that, and they've sort of been converted more to these shop types of things. When we went through the severance process, we were fully aware of this fact that there are more accessory buildings, but there was really never a push to say these buildings should go. There was never a push at the severance stage from the planning department or from council, at least the comments, I looked at that this afternoon. So there was no strong concern about that. You know, I don't know if there's specific concerns that the township has with these larger buildings. I take for granted, yes, they are larger than normal, but in summary, it'd be really a shame to take them down. So then I think, what are our options? The options I see is as a proposed zoning bylaw that allows the accessory buildings. I think the zoning bylaw as it stands to govern the types of uses on this property, for example, commercial or industrial. If someone wants to go down that road, well, they need a zone change to make that happen. If future owners, say, bought this property and started making, I don't know, furniture in this place, I don't know if you make furniture in that barn, but, you know, started doing something of great significance, well, that'd be governed under the zoning bylaw, and you'd have to apply for a zone change to make that happen. And if you were doing inappropriate use, well, it's an infraction, and that would have to be policed. So I don't know if there's anything, maybe Mark can add to it, but I don't think there's anything else that we can add as a restriction on the wording on this situation to actually deal with any potential concerns. If there are concerns about the larger building, I'd be interested in knowing what they are.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
Comments, questions? Great.
I guess this is for Mark. At what point does a shop become a commercial entity compared to a private shop where there might be one employee, or how do we police that, or how do we set standards for something like that?
It's not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be a commercial use, so if Mr. Dolling, you know, likes to tinker with cars, you know, and he's got a car back there, then it's just a personal shop like any of us could have in our garage.
You couldn't run a commercial,
Couldn't,
that's
the
right.
neighbor couldn't bring his tractor in and have them
No,
overhaul it,
he
or?
couldn't set up a business doing that. If he did want to set up a business to do that, it could be rezoned for that, or consideration could be given for that. But what I'm hearing from Mr. Buseman, there's no interest there. It's just strictly a personal
And I think
use.
what we're saying is if that became a need or a use, then you'd have to come back and get a zoning change.
That's correct. It'd be a bylaw enforcement issue.
Otherwise, it can be still for personal, but
Yeah.
not for anything but personal.
Correct.
Yeah, and my question, how many, I think there's a standard, isn't there, that fix and sell so many vehicles per year, then you become you come into another category.
Well, I don't know, maybe.
Is there a number, or maybe
Not from a planning point of view.
Okay.
If you become a commercial operation, you know, even if it's a few cars a year, you're probably not allowed to do that.
But bottom line is, Rob, this is for his own personal use, and I'm assuming like Bill Purdy, correct, a friend of ours? Like, that's what you're looking at, Rob, like, to have your toys in there, and like, you're not gonna be running a business at all out of there, fixing vehicles for friends, or? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think.
Getting younger.
I think, and I'll turn to maybe Bill, you'd mentioned this, and I don't have Terry here as a bylaw officer, but if somebody had a complaint, like if all of a sudden that it seemed to be that was going to becoming a commercial use, then their complaint would come to the bylaw officer. The bylaw officer would go out and check it out, make sure that it's not, if it isn't conforming anymore, then they would have to come for a zoning change, or we'd have to shut it down. And that's the only way, you know, like,
Yeah.
and that's normal, that's happens all the time, so.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other questions? So from a county standpoint, if it stayed in a personal use basis, you're saying, 'cause I see for that report, Mark, that even though it's bigger size, it might conform at this point.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because we're not really given any guidance by the county official plan or the provincial policy statement about what's too big.
Right.
You know, at some point, you know, accessory buildings get too big for a property.
Mhm.
And so here we're at 6,000 square feet. And you're starting to get towards the upper limit where it almost, at some point, the accessory buildings almost become the primary use and the house becomes secondary. But I think there's some flexibility there, and I think if council's satisfied that, you know, Mr. Dowling's gonna use this for personal use, which the pictures seem to show, I think there's room for it. The other side of coming at it is, you know, tearing down a perfectly good buildings. That's the flip side.
From an assessment standpoint,
Well, yeah, for that, and just, in some ways,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a,
bit of a,
it's a waste of money to.
I think the control you have with the bylaw to say that if it ends up becoming a commercial use, which is the concern, would be that you do it through the bylaw and go there, and basically the bylaw officer goes out and shuts it down until the zoning changes. So we still have that ability.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone came forward with and wanted to have 20,000 square foot, like 4 barns at 20,000 square feet, I don't think,
No,
at that point, we probably say.
there seemed to be something going on.
We can't support that, but
See, the problem here I see, Rob, you got too many toys, you gotta boil it down.
As many as you, Rick?
Well, he's a lot more than me, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Bridge. Nothing's really changed the last 12 years, Rob. I mean, it's the barn, I mean, sure, there was cattle in there years ago, I'm sure. And nothing's changed on that property, and the only thing that we're concerned about is the commercial or industrial use.
Okay. Yes, okay.
This is for Mark as well. Are we putting ourselves into a situation, if we approve this, that we're going to have to approve similar situations in the future? I know each one is supposed to be dealt with on its own merits, but are we getting ourselves to a point where we're going to be having trouble controlling the size of these accessory buildings?
I think there's always a bit of a risk, you know, each one of these things. And it's only with the surplus farm severance that we're really running into this problem, because the barn's got to go one way or the other, and neither way is great. So that's part of the problem. But I think if the owner can come forward and offer sort of legitimate uses for it, some people have more toys. You know, if somebody's got a 30-foot RV.
Where do you store it?
That takes a lot of room. And if he's got a motorboat, you know, pretty soon, it doesn't take that long to burn up 6,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So I think if council's comfortable with that, then I think there's a reason for it. Maybe, you know, you've distinguished it on that basis. At some point, you're gonna get too high, though. And there's really no guidance, or little guidance for that either. So it's, I think, a case by case.
Call
Through
on
you, Mayor
that,
Bridge, I
Counselor.
think there's a big difference too, the fact that the buildings are already there. If he was coming to us and asking us to build buildings this size, I think we would be looking at it in a different situation. But as you say now, to tear these buildings down is a waste.
That's exactly right.
So that would be considering in the future as well.
Okay. Councilor Faulkner, is that what?
No,
that's
that
what
was
you're saying?
exactly my question.
Okay, then, if you have no further questions, I'll go to the next, I will call anybody who wishes comments in favor, I think we've heard that, and comments, anybody in opposition to the proposed amendment. Do we have anybody here in opposition? Anybody that wants to speak on it? No? Okay. Well, that's it, then I will state that if wish to be notified of the decision of the Council of Town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk in Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 10, or email at bwhite@townofminto.on.ca. There's no further comments, I will adjourn the public meeting. That's
Just
right, yeah.
one comment. We'll move forward and prepare. a
Yeah, we
draft-
haven't actually,
draft
we're not going to be
bylaw.
doing a bylaw tonight, by the way. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that or not. Because we were just waiting for this clarification a bit before we were going to do that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another public meeting. A public meeting to consider amendment of the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for the property located at Part Lot 89 Concession D with a municipal address of 6163 Wellington Road 109, formerly Town of Minto, Township of Minto, Town of Minto. I'll act as the public meeting chair. I'll call the meeting to order and request any members of the public present to please sign the attendance record. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at a public meeting or make a written submission to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto, the Ontario Municipal Board, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there's reasonable grounds to do so. I'll ask CEO Clerk White to advise the purpose and effect of the public meeting and when the notices were sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is described as Part Lot 89 Concession D with a municipal address of 6133 Wellington Road 109. The property is approximately 2 acres. The purpose of the proposed amendment is to rezone the property to permit the breeding and raising of small rodents for reptile food. Other proposed uses include a pet store, sale of related pet supplies, office, and accessory single detached dwelling. Notices were mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property, as well as applicable agencies, and posted on the property August 27th. Comments were received from the Town of Minto Fire Chief, Chief Building Official, with no concerns, and the Brandy Walters of Maitland Valley Conservation Authority had no concerns. County of Wellington Manager of Planning Mark Van Patter, report attached, is here to deliver that report as well.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. This application's a little bit different. I'm sure there's some interest in comments from council. I spoke with the proponent, Greg Andrews, and I think hopefully Greg's here today.
Greg's here,
Yeah,
yep.
Greg's
Great.
there.
So I talked to him today and suggested it'd be a good idea for Greg at some point just to provide some,
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be
an
good.
overview of what he
Yeah.
wants to do. But
Yeah.
why don't I kind of give the skeleton view
Sure.
first, and then Greg you can kind of fill in the holes of what I've got and talk about it. I think everybody knows the property. It's just south of Harriston. It's the pork producer's property. It's about 2 acres in size. And what's being proposed, Greg, I'm not sure if you're already in the business, but he would like to raise small rodents like rats and mice for the reptile industry, basically, and you go through a process where they're, they're gassed and frozen and then shipped out. And Greg told me today approximately about 10,000 individuals would be processed every week, and which may seem like a lot, but all that really means is it's one cube van per week delivering them to pet stores, et cetera, in the region. So, 10,000 sounds like a lot, but I don't, in terms of biomass, it's probably not that much. In terms of there's really the animals aren't taken apart at all, so there's no wastewater issues or mess issues. They're just frozen the way they are. So relatively clean business from that point of view, I think. Of course, the building's going to need some changes to it. I think he's planning on major renovations, to make it suitable for his use. The purchase and sale agreement's conditional on rezoning going forward.
Right.
Before he does any of that stuff. In terms of planning, it's within a prime ag area in the official plan. It's currently zoned ag commercial, and the main reason for the need for this is the raising of livestock is not permitted in an ag commercial zone. It is in the ag zone, but not in the ag commercial zone. And so I thought the easiest way of dealing with this in the draft bylaw was to just leave it in the ag commercial zone, because one of the things that he would like to do there is potentially in the future is have a single detached dwelling on the property. which is permitted in the ag commercial zone to look after the business, so it makes sense maybe to leave it that way, and also provide some flexibility in the future too, if any other uses were to take place there. He's also asking for a pet store and pet supply used to go in there, which I don't have a concern with, I don't think. A couple of things with the bylaw, the way I've worded it in the bylaw, you'll see that the detached dwelling is already permitted, so all that we really have to add is breeding, raising, and sale of small rodents, pet store, sale of related pet supplies, and office use. So that's all that I put in the draft bylaw. One other thing I would like to put in there, when I was out on the property today, there's almost no rear yard in the property. The building's right against, yeah, so I thought what we would do is, if council supports the amendment, is we would put in there recognition of the backyard not meeting the bylaw and just permitted as it is. The other thing that struck me when I was out there, there's two entrances to the property, and I wouldn't think you would need both of them. And I'm thinking maybe we should talk to the county roads department, it's a county road, to see, usually they want to minimize entrances on, you know, high traffic roads, so they may want that to occur, so I'd like to speak to them about that too. But I don't think I have any real concerns. It seems like a fairly minor use in some ways. It's a bit different. But maybe Greg can come up and, or stand there, whatever you're comfortable.
Like, come on up, Greg.
Up here, Greg.
We gotta have you up here, because you'll be on TV then, Greg, see, yeah. And besides, if people don't, they'll hear you, maybe not hear you back there, they'll hear some voice and they wonder who it is.
What do we call you, like Rat Boy, or what
Rat
do you want to
Man,
be called?
thank you.
Rat Man? Rat Man.
No, Greg is fine, no. Yeah, this is not a new venture.
Right.
I actually did it for 10 years
Okay.
in Minto already. Lot 1 Concession A, right in the corner. Ran it successfully in those 10 years, starting from several rodents up to 100,000 in the barn at any time. In the 10 years, I sold over 1.5 million rodents. Talk of the gassing and the freezing, but the main service I provide is selling of live rodents to the Greater Toronto area, Hamilton and Guelph-Kitchener. I currently don't have that business right now. It has been sold to a friend of mine, and he's here, Rodney Heemstra. So I'm looking to get back into the game and enjoy the passion of growing rodents again. Growing up on the farm all my life, production of animals has been an awesome thing, and there's a lot of production with rodents. So every month, a female will deliver a litter, and anywhere from 8 to 15 babies. So they produce a lot of offspring. But nothing is bigger than 1.5 pounds, pretty much. So as much as there's a lot of numbers, they're small critters. Thinking of running the operation out there, it's only 2 acres, and I don't need very much to run it because I do not harvest any of my own crops to feed them. All the feed is produced through, I want to say Mount Forest Elevators, though it's got a different name now. And it's just a pelletized, rationed feed, and that's stored in a grain silo, grain bin. So it would get trucked in once a week or every other week, depending what size of bin I had. And then thinking of the waste, bedding is wood shavings, and that would either be tractor trailer loaded in or just being purchased through local co-op. I guess just the bagged wood shavings, and that would be the main part of the litter going out too.
Does that just go to landfill, or?
No, it is 100% biodegradable, like for use on the fields, though I don't have any property to spread it at that 2 acres, but Mom and Dad's is not too far away to have it trucked there. But my plan is to bring in and set up having a wood chip burner, where actually all of the litter and the feces and everything can be burnt and used for in-floor heating, and even air conditioning, hopefully for the summer, and even run power, depending on what unit I get to burn all that. And the gases that it produces is pretty much just a white smoke, which is just the water exhaust. So it's highly usable biomass for energy. So that's the plan, the hopes to get that built. But we're starting off rather small at first and then just building it up as I go. When I ran it at Mom and Dad's, I had 5 or 6 high school employees, and I'd like to do the same right on the bus route. I'm not sure how I can get kids just dropped off there with a note maybe, but use them as my monkey boys so that they can do all the cleaning out. So I've sustained a few injuries in my time, so working with my wrists aren't that great. Having the kids do the grunt work, and I can just do the organizational and looking after the things. So thinking, I guess too, when I say I grow rats, people get the picture that it's just a barn full of rats running around. It's not that at all. It's very much laboratory style looking. Just imagine a bookshelf with a bunch of Rubbermaid storage containers on it. That's what the caging system looks like, just like a drawer pull-out style, and they're kept in small colonies in those boxes. So with an automated watering system, and they're fed daily by hand, so everything is checked over regularly.
Questions?
You mentioned in your application as well about a pet supply and pet store.
I would, being Harrison in the middle of Minto, I think it'd be cool to be able to service all the rural area for the small animals, but also maybe their feed and caging supplies and that kind of stuff. So I don't think there's too much for pet stores around other than Hanover.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see something like that developed here. Being close to Mount Forest all my life, they've had pet stores come and go, but I don't know whether this can be much more different, growing a lot of the critters myself and keeping an awesome supply of the animals, but then feed that's I'm using anyways, I can bag it and sell it or something like that. I don't know how that exactly works, but.
And they would be all domestic animals.
Domestic, yeah. There's nothing wild caught, wild bred. It's
No
all
snakes.
domestic. No, I have no plan. I like the
reptile.
furry critters. The snakes I don't care for.
It just seems to be a source of tricky subject these days.
Yeah, yeah. And thinking like the domestic rats and mice, if there's concern of them getting away, they are not as hardy as their wild counterparts. They're not nearly as thrifty and willing to venture off too far. They'll curl up and just freeze to death if they get out, kind of thing. So just not survival savvy for getting out, because they're lazy and lay on their backs in their cages sleeping, kind of thing. They eat, breed, and sleep. So.
Okay.
Yeah, well, my question was regarding reptiles, so you don't have any plans to,
No.
and do we have a bylaw with respect to reptiles in Minto?
Yes, we do.
We do.
I was looking at it lately, and I don't know if it's been revised since, but no snakes or lizards, I think, in Mintos. So,
That's right.
My product really does just go to the big cities.
It goes to the snakes don't come to you.
Right. I like the furry critters. So.
Good.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Bridge. Greg, my picture is, there was, a few years ago, there was a couple of movies out. Was it Willard? I'm not sure. That was the first thing I thought about. Man, going into that building.
When you go in, you don't really see a rodent.
Exactly.
The
It's a great
caging.
explanation.
Yeah.
My question is, looking at the property from number 9, 109, did I hear that you were thinking about a residence, like a house?
Perhaps. I live in Clifford currently, and if there would be opportunity to build something there and live right close, I'm debating. I don't know whether I want to live that close to it, just in terms of the passion for the business. I'd spend more time in the barn than with family, perhaps. So make it kind of like a job, go to it and then go home.
So do you have thoughts on what it would look like
Absolutely.
5 years from now?
I've got some pretty big dreams, call them plans, I guess, too, but I'm not sure how they'll be realized exactly, but I dream big and creative, and would like to put my artistic ability into the building of it, just the structure alone, but also to the business part of it, marketing and whatever too, so.
If it all works out and you get it going, I'd really like to have a tour.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like to do that.
Councillor Elliott?
Thanks.
How close would you be before you are in the business and operating, you expect, with renovating and such like?
Yeah, the renovations would be the main drawback to getting it going right away, because the structure as it is, it's not insulated, and it has to be a regulated temperature pretty much to keep the rodents at the optimal temperature. So when, well, I don't even own the property yet, so that's the thing. This is the once it's in my name, I want to go gung-ho right at it and
Get it done as soon as you
yeah.
can. Okay.
And thinking of the construction of the building, a few things that I want to tear down and then definitely build up, build nice, so.
Right,
Councillor Faulkner?
thanks.
Yeah, and I was starting to get concerned when you said you didn't want to live that close to the
Oh, no, no.
building. I do,
Yeah.
but you made an excellent,
Road.
Yeah, way over there.
you made an excellent explanation, and so I just thought I'd try and invoke a little humor.
Anything else?
Just a couple things. You know, I'm sitting as the economic development officer, well, I guess the chairman of economic development. It's nice to see the new business come to town. If you're looking at a pet store, that'd be great. A new resident, I'm all for it. But you answered my one question, because my question that I'm gonna get from the public as a counselor is, what's your fail-safe if they get out? Well, if they're all just gonna curl up and die, I guess that's not too bad of a resolve, right? So.
Escapeism is very limited, and even then, they're used to being fed, not to search for food.
Well,
so.
as I remember a number of years ago, there were some people that thought that they should let some mink out of their cages, and there's a couple thousand
Chicken
that
farmers,
that these people let out, and they passed away that night because of the frost, so that doesn't work with
Right.
a lot of animals that are being raised for feed, so.
Just sitting here, I had one question of Mark, and it should have crossed my mind earlier, but the office use that's mentioned in the draft zoning, the intention isn't to allow it independent of the other uses? In other words, it wouldn't be, if something were to, you don't want to be renting it out for offices for someone else, so.
Should be accessory office.
Yeah.
Can we do that tonight, even if we pass the bylaw, we just write that in?
You could, I'm thinking though
We're good?
I wanted to deal with the rear yard as well.
Oh, so you still have it, before we do the bylaw, you still want to deal with your,
I know you're probably in a rush to get this sorted out. When would be the earliest happen, is 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
So is that changing just,
All that it would do is forgive you for your rear yard.
Your setback.
Your setback.
because I don't think there is anything apart from there's a concrete slab at the back, and is that the end of
Well, this fence looks right,
behind?
Fence right there.
I'm pretty sure, I guess I'd like you to figure out how far you are. Or I can just put it in there as existing right now.
With that,
Sorry.
well, we got,
I need to
everybody's
text
going
that.
here. Councillor Elliott, did you have one?
Yeah, just, we're through with the backyard thing, but
Well, I just want to maybe I
Okay,
can get
sure.
a clarification on that.
Yeah.
Could we, if we said it's existing today, now, we would still have some control when we actually look at renovations and stuff, would we not? Probably not for the backyard, though.
Or if the building ever got demolished,
Right.
new building
Couldn't,
shouldn't.
yeah.
I was thinking of an addition out the one end, which would be running along the same line as the existing building, but it might not be the 20 feet or 25 feet, so I don't know how that would work.
Well, I don't want to forgive you for that. As long as you don't go any further back to the rear yard here, okay?
Okay.
But I guess, you know, if council doesn't mind having something, the bylaw here can amended by hand and approved later tonight, fine.
Sure, I got no problem with that. I got no problem.
Yeah, we're good. You all right with that? I mean, rather than, it's a
Hold 'em
2-week
up.
delay, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
That's right.
Once you get going on it,
Yeah.
like, sorry. Councillor Elliott.
I just, we were talking about the two driveway situation. Would that not be grandfathered in if the driveways are there? I mean,
Yeah, no, I'm just,
could they,
questions.
you really can't take it away, or would they suggest it?
Do you have any interest in two driveways, or is one sufficient?
Just thinking of the delivery of the feed and the shavings on transport, whether it would be beneficial. I'm not really sure how things go in and out.
Well, that
was
would
my
be fairly
question
wide.
on that. And that's my question was on that. If you decide to build a house someday on that property, you're probably gonna want a separate driveway to the house and one for the business. That's my guess. I'm personally, I wouldn't want to touch that one.
I think I'm okay just doing it.
Okay, all right. I just gotta finish up here now. And now, we have anybody in opposition to the plan? Yep. Do you want- Okay.
That second driveway is also excessive, that field, like those people gotta get the crop out of that.
Good point.
That creek,
Yeah, good point.
so if you take it away from them, you're gonna have to go on the other.
Yeah, okay, good point.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, have you asked all your questions you want? Okay. If you wish to be notified of the decision of council of the town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 1ZO, or be emailed at bwhite@townofminto.on.ca.
Mayor Bridge, if I may,
Yep.
before we adjourn. Mark's, the planner will amend the bylaw here, and then when we bring it forward, it would be
Right.
the
Amended.
bylaw as amended, so whoever has signed that resolution, I'll send that around, and we can make that change to the bylaw
Sounds good.
administratively.
We can get it done tonight. Okay.
And if there's no other comments, I just wanted to make sure there's
Yep.
no one else,
No other comments on
the public, or?
Oh, if I could just,
public? Yes.
just, I appreciate your expediency in that, because with Greg wanting to start construction right away, as it gets colder, we prefer to have heat. I'm the guy
Mhm.
that's would be selling business back here. And when I originally purchased it from him, to my farm south of Bethel, the local electricians, contractors, concrete guys end up with about $30,000 in the next few weeks just
Right.
in renovation anyways. They're more than happy to see
Yeah.
it come that way. And in terms of, escapees, as you referred to, I've never lost one in the last, 4.5 years that I've been doing it. So, if you have a building, it's structured, as Greg said, anything that were to get out, I have a cat, he cleans up most of it.
There you go. I know somebody has 4 kittens he's trying to get rid of.
Just don't let
right?
it in the building.
And as for the rest, like you said, anything that goes out, they tend to just literally sit there and curl up. I've got videos of my
Pictures.
2-year-old playing on the ground with them, they don't go anywhere.
Ooh, that's a little more information.
Mayor Bridge, yeah, I just wondered about the water and sewer there. Is there
No.
a septic tank and bed there and your own well?
It's town water.
It is, eh?
But
No
there
sewer.
is a septic tank,
Yep.
but it has not been located.
Okay.
There's word that it's there, I just don't know where it is.
Yep.
Yeah, because I knew it was town water, but I didn't. Okay. If there's no further comments, I'll adjourn the public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very informative.
Good job again.
For sure. And, just in passing, Greg, and I should have maybe said it,
Back here.
make sure you talk to Mandy at our economic development. He's got all kinds of opportunities for you to help you with marketing and whatnot.